Welcome, everybody, to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. And as you know, I talk about 4 different types of freedom: time, financial, location, health freedom. In that light, I'm always scouring the globe looking for entrepreneurs, CEOs, looking to change the world through companies. And with that in mind, we have the CEO of Vegg, Harold Bollaci, and he's going to talk all about his company and really the impact of diet. I've devoted to eating 80% clean this year. And so it's going to be a great conversation. So Harold, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Doctor. It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm always interested in people doing things on the cutting edge with diet, meditation, all these different non-traditional methods. Tell us more about Vegg and how you got started.
The Vegg is a 100% plant-based egg substitute. So in common vernacular, we're a vegan egg. We're a Vegg. We're 100% plant-based, and we offer 4 different products. And as I'm sure some of your listeners are aware, there's a bit of an egg shortage in the United States right now as a result of avian flu. And the cost of eggs is quite high. So the timing's perfect for people to make a transition to a vegan egg or a Vegg. And we've tried to come up with different products to meet the different needs of consumers. And our standalone, which is our scramble mix, has 20 grams of protein per serving. So for people who are health conscious, who are cholesterol conscious, but also interested in consuming more plant-based protein, it's a perfect mix, the Vegg Power Scramble. And that's our standalone. That's meant to replicate the scrambled egg. We have a yolk mix, which replicates an egg yolk. And it's fascinating. Chefs around the world use it for a handful of dishes, and it tastes and feels just like an egg yolk. And we have our baking mix. As you know, when you cook with an egg, it's used as a binding agent. So rather than cracking an egg, you crack a Vegg into your brownie mix, and you accomplish the same thing. And you're not using an animal product in doing it. And then the 4th offering we have is a French toast mix. So if anyone's going to make French toast, rather than using regular eggs, use our Vegg French toast mix, and I think you'll be very happy with the outcome.
Yeah. Well, interesting. We'll talk about actually your journey. How do you? A lot of people are aware of the terms vegan, but how did plant-based living change your life?
So I have a long history of dietary issues. I think a lot of Americans may. I was born without an esophagus. So I lived without an esophagus for 2 years. And when I was 2 years old, my doctors used part of my colon to create an esophagus for me. And prior to that, I was fed through a feeding tube. So I ate through a feeding tube for 2 years. And as I got older, I started having trouble digest foods. I frequently would aspirate food into my lungs in my sleep. If you've ever had a hamburger in your lungs, it hurts. And this was occurring for a long time. And as I got older, it was occurring more often. And I tried to change a lot of things. I tried to eat early. Eat dinner at 5:00. Yeah, it's great if you're not at work. So I started to eliminate animal products, noticed that my digestion improved, and it got to a point where I can't take in meats anymore. My body rejects them altogether. So it's helped with my sleep. It's helped with my digestion. I'm thankful I was never overweight, but it certainly hasn't hurt my body mass or my weight. It just feels good to eat clean.
Yeah. Which is interesting because, a lot of diseases, allergies, food allergies, autoimmune, even neurodegenerative diseases tied to diet, especially with all the processed foods we have. And it's, obesity, diabetes, heart disease, cancer. What's interesting is why Veggs and not eggs?
For any number of reasons. So we're a vegan company. So obviously one of our primary concerns is preventing the use of animals for human food. This is an anti-cruelty company. It's also a sustainability company. The fewer animals producing human food on this earth reduces climate change. So that's an important aspect of it. But just for dietary reasons, Veggs are healthier than eggs. You're getting more protein per serving in our Vegg Power Scramble. You're not getting the cholesterol, and you're doing good for the environment and for animals. It's, Doc, it's hard for me to give a good explanation because it seems so intuitive to me. Why wouldn't you give up something that humans have eaten for all these years? For all human history, we've been eating animal eggs. There's really no need to be doing it when the attributes you're getting from animal foods can be replicated through a plant-based substitute.
Mm-hmm.
And we offer more in the way of protein. So I think that converting to Veggs or transitioning to Veggs or just making it part of your diet reduces cholesterol. It's great for heart health. I've spoken with many people who claim that plant-based living helped cure their diabetes and other ailments. To me, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. I know that's it's easy for a company owner to say it's a no-brainer to use his products, but we really check off so many boxes. We check off a health box. We check off a sustainability. We check off a no cruelty to animals. It's a triple win.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. So, a lot of people would ask you, how do you, how are these eggs? How do you create it? Is it, is a formula? Tell us more how you actually produce the product.
So the product is a blend. It's all it's vitamins, it's nutritional yeast, it's plant protein, and we blend it. So there's no animal products. It's perfectly shelf stable. Once it's in its package and it's sealed, it's really good for years. Our product is add water, mix, and eat. You can really do this without using any heat. A lot of consumers will heat up our products either through a skillet, a microwave, or boiling water.
Mm-hmm.
But it's add water and mix. That's how easy we are to use.
Yeah, and so the other question that people will have is, are people getting enough protein from plant-based protein versus animal protein?
That's a great question. I think people a lot smarter than me can debate the attributes between animal protein and plant-based protein. I can tell you that I don't see a difference. We're offering a lot more protein per serving. And I would defer to the people who are looking for additional protein. A lot of health-conscious people use our scramble for extra protein. Bodybuilders use our scramble for extra protein. So I don't think anyone's leaving anything on the table by not cracking a chicken egg onto their dinner plate.
Yeah. And what do you see the future of plant-based food as it relates to global warming and climate change?
I think it's the future. I think this is where we have to go to prevent or reduce climate change. Obviously, climate change is a big subject. We're not a fossil fuel, but I think everyone would agree that the waste created from animals who are used for human food, if we can reduce or eliminate animal waste used in connection with food preparation, we're going to make a big impact on our earth. And we're going to save a lot of cruelty to animals. It's just the future. The challenge is getting people's palates to adjust to not eating animal products. And for me, that's the biggest challenge as someone who's trying to convince consumers that this is a viable, reasonable, healthy alternative to a chicken egg or any egg for that matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people, I was reading an article on LinkedIn where it's talking about with the current policies and the regulations, especially after COVID, they're trying to reverse climate change. They say the ozone will be healed by the year 2040. How are you building awareness at the global and national level on plant-based food?
How are we building awareness as far as reducing climate change, or just trying to convince people to eat plant-based food?
Well,
they're one and the same. It's part of our underlying message. It's part of our marketing. It's obviously a big part of our conversation today. So anyone who's running a plant-based company, I think, is an advocate for climate change. And it's part of all of our conversations. It's part of our marketing. And it's part of our approach and I'll call it our pitch to consumers and to retail buyers, that this is an important product that needs to be on shelves so that consumers have the option. And interestingly, the challenge for us as a consumer brand is, where do you put the Vegg in a grocery store? Eggs are in a refrigerated part of the grocery store. That's really expensive store space. Where do you put our product? Because they should be next to each other, but stores don't want to give up that space. So educating consumers and talking to influential people like yourself is part of our approach to just education. And we know that it takes time, but it'll happen. It will happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you made the commitment yourself. It's a new year, and you've committed to trying to do this to 80%. How many Americans did that this year?
We just started, but usually, we'll see how the year goes, because I started it towards the end of the year, and try to build some momentum into the current year. It'll be interesting, the health effects, your vitality, your energy, your focus, your memory, all of that. And one question I had was, where do you see Vegg in terms of, because right now you are manufacturing this, from looks like raw products, but where do you see any intersection with genetically modified food in Vegg, or is it just going to be from first principle?
I don't think we're going to go into anything that's genetically modified. We pride ourselves on being pure. I mean, there's always innovation in food. We're constantly trying to come up with a better product. We're trying to get as close as we can to the real taste and texture of an egg. We're almost there. Our yolk mix is spot on. The challenge is with a scrambled egg, because there's no animal product in it. So you don't, when you have a Vegg power scramble, you're not getting that oily feeling that you're getting from a regular egg. Personally, I think that's okay. I think you do it once or twice and you overcome that resistance. So it just one consumer at a time, one palate at a time. It's possible.
Yeah.
We'd love to see it in schools and in hospitals. I don't know how hospital nutritionists permit the amount of animal food that they offer to patients to be out there.
Mm-hmm.
The healthcare industry should be pioneering in plant-based eating. And I'm talking to a doctor, and you're laughing or you're smiling a little bit, and I think you're acknowledging that it's a great place to start with healthcare.
I was smiling because when you say healthcare innovation, in the past that used to be true, but now it's kind of like an oxymoron. Health, it's kind of healthcare is this legacy system. So
yeah,
sort of innovations, it's very small and it's very difficult. So, but you do make a good point in terms of diet, especially schools and all of these education, healthcare, finance, transportation. All of these are legacy systems. They need to be changed and revamped. So
they need to be modified, because I think in this country we rely on legacy systems. To your point, our country isn't that old. A 25, 30, or 40-year legacy system in the course of human history is nothing. These should not be so hard to change. It's just, we almost accept that, oh, this is just the way it's done. We're not going to do it any differently. And the challenge is, why not? And a lot of times decision makers have different motivations in mind. And a lot of it has to do with money. But I think it's unfair to just say, oh, it's a legacy and it is the way it is. I think we can change things in this country when and if we want to. And I think we're pretty good at it when we put our heads to it. So I never fall back on, oh, this is just the way things are.
Yeah. Really great conversation. As we're nearing the end, what is it that makes Vegg better than its competitor?
We're 100% plant-based. We're, in my opinion, and of course you're asking the CEO of a company to describe why his product is better than everyone else's. We're the purest out there. We're the best tasting, and we're the healthiest. I can make a declarative statement that our products are the healthiest plant-based egg substitutes on the market. And I'm very proud of that declaration. And that's what sets us apart from our competitors.
Yeah. And so and lastly, how do people visit your website, follow you on social media, connect with you, contact you?
I'd love to hear from your listeners. Our website is thevegg.com. So it's the VEGG.com. And that's our handle at the Vegg on all social media. I'm on LinkedIn, Harold Bollaci on LinkedIn. And we're available in big box stores nationwide, our website, and on Amazon. And if you don't mind, I would encourage your listeners, help us get this into hospitals and to schools and anywhere that eggs are being served, because this is the future. They could be part of something big.
And so let's, for all the listeners out there, the audience, Harold's resources will be in the links and show notes. Be sure to follow him on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as his website, thevegg, VEGG.com. And with that, thanks so much for talking about, food innovation and health and emotional fitness and wellness. And thanks for coming onto the show.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.